is the first championship parade Los Angeles has had in over a decade, since both the Lakers and the Dodgers had won their championships at the start of the pandemic in 2020.
This bill applies to all workers in California, even right here at USC.
This is also a personal story. My mother lives in Nigeria, and she's scared.
It's St. Puppy's Day. You've never heard of it?
After taking care of her uncle in Hawaii and learning from some of the best culinary chefs in the world, she decided to bring her talents back to the mitten. And if you don't have a taste for produce, something sweet might be just what you're looking for. That's when the journalism professor had an idea to create a documentary on Flint Rap. Yes! Yes! Finally, a win. And a celebration.
This right here, a celebration. All of us together celebrating the victory of the Rams. Whose house Rams are? Whose house Rams are? Whose house Rams are? Woo!
Last Sunday, the Los Angeles Rams beat the Cincinnati Bengals in Super Bowl 56 at SoFi Stadium. And Angelenos say this is a long time coming.
It's great, especially in the past 4 years, won the Super Bowl twice and bring one home. Nothing better than that. Great feeling.
The parade begins at Shrine Auditorium and concludes at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum with a rally.
USC is just a perfect area. It's more room. It's more room out here. It's just a few minutes to park, a few minutes to walk, And after the parade, you get to enjoy the museum and look around and look at all the upgrades that LA has become.
This is the first championship parade Los Angeles has had in over a decade, since both the Lakers and the Dodgers had won their championships at the start of the pandemic in 2020.
A lot of us made it out today, and it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, the Lakers, Dodgers, I was really hyped for those too, but we were in our living rooms during a pandemic. It's a little different,
Though the parade is on the ground, some fans are still in shock and on a high from this weekend's dub.
I could float home to Albuquerque. If I float away, grab the string, okay?
And just like the fans, the Rams are too.
This is unbelievable to be out here today celebrating with you guys. It's an unbelievable journey we've been on. So many ups and downs, but you know what? You guys are right there with us, and we appreciate you every step of the way.
One thing for sure, California knows how to party. For Annenberg Media, I'm Sade Moore. Businesses here on Figueroa have bravely continued to function through this pandemic and have imposed protocols trying to keep customers protected. But who protects the essential workers? On Monday, California lawmakers passed a bill that workers will be paid up to 2 weeks of leave after contacting COVID-19. For restaurant owner Moisash, this is a relief.
It helps because government is going to pay for their sickness, and they're going to pay it because they're not their fault that they get sick. They have to spend money even though they're sick. This is very good help from government.
This bill applies to all workers in California, even right here at USC.
I see this more as like reparations that we're being provided for, because this sort of thing should have been, first of all, controlled way earlier, that a bill like this shouldn't need to happen.
And although esthetician Simona Somerville has not missed work due to COVID, she now has less anxiety about getting sick.
Just knowing that there's some kind of support out there to help if I were to be put in that situation is a great relief. Like, it makes me feel a lot better to know that I wouldn't just be completely out of luck with no way to provide for my family if I were to get sick.
Lawmakers also believe paid sick leave will help stop the spread. For Annenberg Media, Sade Moore.
I'll just say I was nervous because I was starting to live on my own in a whole new country.
Leaving home for college can be hard. Even more difficult if your home is halfway around the world. Tim Nwanzi expected being homesick. He didn't expect that he'd have to worry about his family back in Nigeria.
Well, in Nigeria, police brutality and harassment is a very common event. It happens on a day-to-day basis.
Nwanzi is an MSU computer engineering major who grew up in Nigeria.
I did my elementary school there, my high school there. I just came here for college.
Nigeria is experiencing a civil rights movement similar to protests here in this country.
The youth responding to criminal maladministration of this government.
The movement there is called End SARS. SARS is a special police force that stands for Special Anti-Robbery Squad, created in the 90s that was eventually corrupted as they rose to power.
This is also a personal story. My mother lives in Nigeria, and she's scared.
I really was traumatized. I really felt helpless. I felt sad. I felt really kind of, why would this be happening? They were peaceful protesters.
My mother sees the similarities between America's civil rights movement and the one happening in Nigeria now.
There are definitely some similarities between NSARS and Black Lives Matters.
In Grand Rapids, Michigan, protesters marched for Breonna Taylor and others victims to police brutality. In Nigeria, they marched for Jimoh Iziak and many others.
So then we ask ourselves, how can we help all the way in the United States?
Donating to funds for sure, reposting on social media. Social media is honestly one of the biggest things or the biggest tools that we have.
It's almost something that every Nigerian can give you an experience about. I've obviously had my fair share of experience.
It's hard for Tim to watch the unrest in Nigeria and intends on getting involved with the movement when he can travel back home and see his friends and family too.
All of them are still back home in Nigeria, so I really want to see them.
Sade Moore, Focal Point News.
Today is the last Friday of Black History Month, and what better way to close the month than a spotlight on rap culture in Michigan. Directed by one of our very own, Focal Point's Sade Moore has the scoop on that.
Jerry Zeldez teaches at Michigan State University.
It is true green and white MSU.
She enjoys all types of music, but she always had a love for rap.
I've always been interested in the music, dancing aspect of it, really love the beats.
That's when the journalism professor had an idea to create a documentary on Flint rap.
He was giving in that way where he would give tips and lend his voice.
It's called Breed and Bootleg, Legends of Flint Rap. The story of MC Breed and Ira Bootleg Dorsey and their influence on rap culture.
Everything started pointing to MC Breed and to Ira Bootleg Dorsey as the pioneers of the Flint rap sound in the early 1990s.
And how they used rap as an outlet during the Flint water crisis.
It shines such an amazing light on the water crisis and the political side and the community work and the activism and the storyline about bootleg.
So where did Zeldez find the film crew? Right here in ComArts with students.
Did some B-roll videography. I did some behind-the-scenes photography. Just a little bit of a lot of small stuff. You know what I mean? Helping out with anything that Jerry needed.
Zeldez had the resources and became really intrigued with the rap culture in Flint.
Truly, Flint doesn't get the credit that it deserves in the whole history of rap music.
It helps that she was born there.
So I'm a Flintstone. I grew up in Flint.
Even in a pandemic, she was able to host only the second screening of it at the East Lansing Library last week. It's Zeldez's hope that one day the documentary reaches theaters. In East Lansing, I'm Sade Moore, Focal Point News. It's fresh, sweet, and good to eat.
This sandwich is the El Rito, and it's the best sandwich.
Katie Ann Carmel has lived and worked in Colorado and Hawaii, but she was raised in the Mitten State.
As a kid, my grandma baked a lot, and then my mom also baked as well and kind of did little parties as I was growing up, trying to make memories for us. And I really just enjoyed doing it, and obviously as a kid enjoyed eating sweets.
It's only appropriate that she opened this bakery, and it's only appropriate she name it Mitten Raised.
The only thing that we don't do from scratch is the donuts. That was one thing that I wasn't really focused on doing. I didn't want to be a donut shop.
This small business in East Lansing has become a great place for her and her student employees to work.
Mostly a baker and a cake decorator, so I love doing that. It's a nice escape from school.
After taking care of her uncle in Hawaii and learning from some of the best culinary chefs in the world, she decided to bring her talents back to the Mitten.
I came back to my hometown and always wanted to start something like this, but never. You always want to start somewhere, where you're from, or you have the support of family and friends, and So, East Lansing, that was my home.
Not only is Mitten in the name, but in the ingredients too.
Almost all of them are. It's just stuff like fondant or like the different decorations that we get. Those are the only things that aren't really from Michigan.
With 4 years under her belt, Katie hopes to continue the momentum she's created and give back to the community.
We pool like our tips for like our cash tips and now our credit card tips. So each month and each couple of months we donate them to a different local fund, or we donate them to somewhere in need.
In East Lansing, I'm Sade Moore, Focal Point News. There's no question life has been rough due to the pandemic, but not today for these pups.
It's St. Puppy's Day. You've never heard of it?
Erica Hodges heads Pup House, a pop-up dog park that hosts events all over Lansing.
Pup House started as a way to give dog owners in the Lansing area just more activities and events to do. There's not a lot to do with your dog right now in the mid-Michigan area, so that's my goal, is just to bring more dog-friendly entertainment to people.
They came up with the idea of St. Puppy's Day, since humans have St. Patrick's Day.
To see how much joy it brings people to go do something that's more like normal life and have these events that people can, safely gather and get their dog out of the house too. I mean, dogs have also been locked up during the pandemic.
And a way to bring attention towards animals that need homes.
In stable home environments. And so the more we can get, proceeds and the funding to get them home, to their forever home.
Although there aren't any leprechauns, there are plenty of dogs, both big and small.
By separating them by size really helped it. And then it's the off-leash events are kind of sandwiched around an on-leash event. So that gave a better organization for the dogs, and they were coming and going in groups, which really helped it.
Hopefully Pup House will have some luck and find that pot of gold by the end of the day.
And the ticket sales to the Pup House portion of the event, we're going to donate a percentage of them to New Hope Pet Rescue as well.
In East Lansing, I'm Sade Moore, Focal Point News.